Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bruce Buffer, the voice of the Octagon. And now, we are live with Between Rounds and hosts Sean Tompkins, Ken Gonzalez, and Dave Heiza. So now, it's time!
And welcome everybody to Between Rounds here on Heavy.com. I'm Ken Gonzalez along with my co-host here, the coach Sean Tompkins, and of course Dave Heiza. You're all familiar with Dave from the radio show. Now you get a chance to look at him. Now Sean, what exactly does Shogun have to do? What was that little piece that he didn't do the first time that's going to make a difference here?
We have to look at what worked for him, and what worked for him was his leg kicks. You know, the damage that he did to the legs of Machida, even sometimes changing it up to the body kick, you know, I think that's really what we've got to look at in this fight.
Now, you mentioned the leg kicks in the first fight. Do you think that that's going to be another key to success for Shogun this time around?
See, that's always a tough question, especially from myself as a coach's point of view, because I know that Shoguns probably saw that and knew that it worked for him, but at the same time Machida has went home and said, okay, where did I lose this fight?
And I think what also was a problem for Shogun in the beginning, other than, you know, fighting off some injuries, was he had to deal with the rule changes.
Well, Sean, yeah, I mean, a number one contender fight, I think maybe makes more sense than giving him the title shot right away. Again.
Well, yeah, I mean, and especially Dana White's been talking about it forever, about how it's time that fight camps are going to have to go against each other. Right. You know, so with the Koscheck versus Fitch, it's going to make a lot of sense if it's coming from Dana's talk.
Especially in this fight, I think the only way he does have a chance of winning this fight is if he goes back to those roots and he sticks with the wrestling and he takes Daly off his feet.
If history proves itself, Josh Koscheck isn't going to do that, though.
Since coming to the UFC, Paul Daly is 2-0 with 2 knockout wins over Dustin Hazlett and Martin Kampmann.
Does Koscheck have enough in his camp to switch things around to prepare himself properly?
I don't see him changing up anything that he's done for the past 2 or 3 fights. He's going to be the same Koscheck we've seen.
His biggest weakness is that mentality, is that confidence, no matter who he's fighting, is that he's going to beat them at their game.
Sam Stout, favorite in Canada, of course. The last time in Montreal, the crowd went nuts. You guys were vaulted to like the co-main event practically, I think, on that one.
A guy like Sam Stout, we've never been in a rush with. And I think that's why we're in this good position right now.
This is first fight in nearly a year and a half, I believe, for Patrick Cote, and you know, picking Alan Belcher. I mean, this could be a tough fight for him.
Alan Belcher came out and he submitted Dennis King after completely controlling the entire fight.
That X factor, I think, for Alan Belcher is he has the ability to go to the ground, and when he's on the ground, he knows what to do, and he can finish the fight. Right. And for Cote, that's what I'd be most worried about.
And what fight would be complete without Kimbo Slice and Matt Mitrione? I mean, you're going to have to dissect this thing.
For Kimbo, I think the key for him is to not get hit by a big shot, is to keep his hands up, definitely, and just do what he does.
I think that Kimbo Slice is a huge draw. I think his time in the UFC will be extended because he is Kimbo Slice, but I think Matt Mitrione's going to have a chance to kind of bring himself into the limelight.
As we said, we got Sam Stout, UFC fighter, sitting between Dave and I, and Sam, you're going back to Montreal.
Back to Montreal yet again.
It is. It's your home court.
Yeah, it's pretty much like my home away from home. I've considered it to be that way for a long time now.
For you, it's more technical striking. It's more crisp. Do you think that is definitely, if it does stay on the feet, that's going to be the key, is just picking him apart?
Yeah, I definitely think in this fight with me and Jeremy, it's going to be, you know, I have a feeling it's going to come down to striking.
Speaking of the mind of a fighter again, do you think most guys beat themselves when they face like a champion like, per se, a BJ Penn before they even get in there?
I think it happens sometimes, but I think that's one of the challenges of being a high-level fighter.
Don't worry about Dave. He's always trying to get people to air the dirty laundry and you look 4 or 5 fights down the road. You know, that's what he wants you to say. You know, he'd probably like you to say there's some 16-year-old kid right now that's wrestling in high school that you're going to fight in 5 years. We appreciate you coming on. Obviously, best of luck in Montreal next weekend. We'll be out there, and we'll be cheering you on, definitely.
Thanks for having me.
We've got John Gunderson, UFC fighter, here with us, who traveled all the way to Abu Dhabi at UFC 112 and was unable to fight due to his opponent, correct?
That's true.
What happened?
There was only 2 things I could think of at the time. The first thing that came to mind was that two of my buddies there was 4 of us in the room, and 3 of the guys had gone across the street at a little pool party and threw one of the princes in the pool, having a little bit of fun. So that was the one.
That was the one thing.
That was the first thing because we were, obviously in Abu Dhabi, so didn't know if they were going to chop our heads off for that or what was going to happen.
Well, as far as your experience in Abu Dhabi, obviously it was a disappointment without being able to fight, but what was it like there?
I didn't like it. I wouldn't want to go back. I didn't like it at all. $5 shirts, and they bring it back, and they came out to $250.
Wow.
Yeah, 800 and something dirham is what it.
So you would have done some shopping instead.
Yeah, and we did everything we could to try to get it cheaper, but
No one was having it. No.
we thought we could talk our way out of it, but it didn't
Try
work.
to give the bill to Dana White?
No, definitely not.
Not at all.
Yeah.
All right, John Gunderson, UFC fighter. We'll be right back here in between rounds for Heavy.com.